Good morning, Keith. How are you doing down there in Melbourne?
Yeah, I'm actually a bit cold. It's surviving.
What degree is it?
Last time I checked, was 5 minutes ago, it was 9.9,
Okay.
and but it's showing with a wind chill factor minus 1.6.
Oh, that's so cruel and violent, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's Men's Health Week, and are you feeling robust like a tough bloke? Like you could go out there and brave it?
Yeah. I'll be taking my dog for a walk a bit later. Yeah, so, yeah.
That's yes. Well, I stayed in bed this morning. It was minus something where I was too.
Oh,
I just was like, oh no.
yeah.
Don't want to. So, welcome to Men's Health Week. We've been having a lovely time. I interviewed a fellow called Chris Cook up in the Northern Reaches, up near Ballina, Byron Bay in New South Wales. And the day before that, we interviewed Marco Teskey. So we've all had very different approaches because, of course, being a bloke is very individual.
Yeah.
So you've been being a bloke for a while now.
Yeah, just a little while.
Yeah. And you've also been a healer or a health therapist, or how do you like to think of yourself, as a wellness practitioner, or what's the term you use for yourself?
Actually, my business name is Keith Wellness Services. So yeah.
Ah, okay. Excellent. And how long have you been in the field of health and wellness now?
22 years.
Oof, you deserve a little certificate for that one. 22 years. And
Mm.
tell us a little bit about how you came to start that whole journey.
Yeah, sure. Well, back in probably about 1980, 81, my girlfriend at the time, her friend was a masseur, and I was doing a lot of karate training. That was my thing at the time, and I was having a sore back and neck, and after training, because we trained very hard. Anyway, so she used to give me massages, and I felt better for it. And I thought, oh, I can do this. I could study this, and I did. So I studied a massage certificate, which went for about a year, and then that led to because the founder of the course, the massage course, he suggested learning Tai Chi for flow and how to use your body more effectively, and I loved it. And yeah, so progressed from there.
Wow. So did that help you with your karate as well?
Yeah, I think it did. Although I used to get a lot of negative feedback from some of the other guys. They were very into the hard style mentality and macho sort of stuff. And yeah, so I continued with it, and eventually I left that school because of that reason. And the main or the head teacher, he didn't like me doing Tai Chi, and it was obvious. So the other thing he was doing, he's promoting people to black belt in 12 months, which I thought that was not really a way to do it. But yeah, so I left.
That's a fast track, isn't it? 12 months
I
to black.
know. I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me that when people were giving you flack for taking the pathway that you were taking, what was that about? Why were they?
Perhaps they felt threatened. I think my teacher, I won't mention his name, but I think he felt threatened that he was going to lose me. But in his reactions, he did. So if he had been accepting of it, I probably would have stayed. Mind you, I was getting beaten up by one of the guys regularly because he was ego thing. And, I used to hold back and he used to hit hard.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. You would think that the ethos of karate is very much about, don't attack till attacked kind of thing.
I know.
Yeah.
That was my philosophy. I always learned karate to learn how to defend myself. A lot of the guys that train with us train to learn to fight, and it was a fighting style. But when I started, I didn't know there was different styles of karate. I just thought it was karate and that was it. So I was uninformed. And then I learned later that there's different styles and different arts and so on. But yeah.
It's really interesting because we've been having a bit of a chat to the WTQA, I think, Wushu, Tai Chi and Qigong Association of Australia. And they've been telling us about the different branches, like the therapeutic branch and the branch that's purely for exercise and the branch that's to do with combat, and saying that they feel that there's a real need to swing people's attention to the wellness benefits of doing Qigong and Tai Chi. We don't have Wushu on our platform yet. Maybe one day we will. But so that's where we've mostly been focused on those two. But how have you been using, since then, how have you used your Tai Chi and Qigong?
Yeah, well, and to you just mentioned, I sort of, with the Tai Chi, with the Qigong, sorry, what happened is when I started learning Tai Chi, they started referencing Qigong, and I didn't know what that was at the time. This would be back in around the 80s, early 80s. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then we're doing standing pole position. We're doing some movements. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but and then I thought I might study this as well, and I did. So at one stage I was doing every week. I was doing karate, Tai Chi, Qigong, and I was also studying yoga, all at the same time.
Oh wow, busy, but also an incredible cross-reference, I imagine. Like really, that's where the genius seems to kick in for a lot of us, when we've got this modality and that modality, and we can see how they weave.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, same with yoga. I've been teaching yoga for 22 years, and some of the yoga teachers that I know, they don't get it that there's similarities. That there's a lot of similarities in yoga and in Tai Chi and Qigong. But I do. I see it. I see, yeah, okay, that's very similar. And, I say the breathing, for example, or some of the postures in yoga can be similar, like the mountain pose is similar to some of the Qigong standing poses, for example. So I just sort of analyze and look at it, and I could see the similarities. And with the Qigong, I studied with Grandmaster Jack Lim for about a year or so. And that was like I trained once a week and then practice. And he taught standing pole, he taught sitting Qigong, and he taught another moving form. I can't remember the name of it. I didn't particularly like that form. It wasn't for me. But then later on, I learnt the Shirbashi 18 postures form. And I still do that today.
Wow. Oh. Well, as I said to you last time we talked, your voice sounds like you're about 36. So I feel like something must be working.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, it's a nice compliment. Thank you very much. But in fact, we went to a function on Sunday, and it was a Slava, which is the Serbian tradition, like Saints' Day. And one of the guys there was talking to me at the end of the event, and he said to me, how old are you? And I said, I'm 67. He goes, no, you look like you're 45. And I said, oh, come on. Because he's about 70 something. And I thought, well, no, maybe 55, but 45 is a bit of a stretch.
Well, isn't that wonderful? I mean, it's a pretty beautiful world to live in. As I sit under this tree in the sunshine, so the longer we all hang around, the better. Yeah. So tell me, how has it been to make a living as a man doing wellness professions? How's that felt for you as a journey?
Well, it's been a bit of a struggle, to be honest, because I'm not really a big promoter of myself. That's one of the reasons I joined SoulAdvisors, because I thought maybe that would be an access to get more work. I mean, I've sort of reduced the amount of yoga teaching that I'm doing of late, purely because I was doing a lot of traveling, driving here, there, and everywhere. Yes. And it wasn't really financially viable to keep doing that. But in the interim, I picked up more Tai Chi classes, and I actually have more of a affinity to that because I love the form and the flow and the chi. I feel chi flowing through my body when I do it. So yeah,
so it's rewarding. And for you personally find that doing the Tai Chi gives you more of that flow than doing the yoga or the Qigong?
Yeah, it does. It does. Well, the form that I do, the Shibashi, has the flow.
Okay.
Because it's a combination of Tai Chi and Qigong.
Right.
It's called Tai Chi Qigong Shibashi, which means 18 postures.
Right.
And that is, I believe, it was a fairly recent development. And where a Qigong master and a Tai Chi master got together and they created this form. So it's all standing, but there's minimal stepping, some classic Tai Chi movements, and some that are not at all, like expand the chest, where you're opening your arms up and you're expanding through your chest, and that's what it's called. The movement is called expanding the chest.
Why not?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a crossover, and I like that too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a thing, isn't it, for a lot of us in the wellness industry, that it's not perhaps as well remunerated as other professions might be.
Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, most people after a while say, well, I might not be being paid, I might feel poor by the end of the month, but it's something that I totally love, and I understand that it's giving me a lot more than just monetary compense. And
For sure.
hopefully, with SoulAdvisor and all the other organizations out there supporting wellness industry, it will change, that people will begin to see more of the worth of what we're all doing. But if you had to put your finger on the worth of what you've done for the last 22 years, what would you say?
Well, actually, since you mentioned it, I do feel a lot of self-satisfaction when people come up to me after class and say how good they felt in doing it, and so relaxed and calm and energized. So all those sort of things that makes it all worthwhile for me. Yeah. So getting the feedback.
Getting the feedback, I agree. It's that feeling that you're helping other people progress along their pathway as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
sure.
that feeling of, it gives you a sense of feeling young and healthy and, on top of things physically, I imagine.
Yeah.
And you get that feedback, and, maybe money isn't everything, although it would be nice. But I wonder if that is more relevant because, still in your generation and mine, men have been seen as primarily the breadwinners, and that's something that we're shaking loose, I think, as the generations moving on. But did you ever feel any pressure around that?
I did. And in fact, my partner was the breadwinner and still is making a hell of a lot more money than what I am. But I do a lot of I've become a sort of like a house husband. And I do a lot of the stuff, even when our children were growing up. I mean, they're all grown up now, but I used to prepare them for school and cook dinners and do the cleaning at the house and wash the clothes, all that sort of stuff, pick them up after school. And then in the interim, between doing that, like taking them and picking them up, I'd go off and do some classes here and there. So, yeah. But I did get some pressure. So from some people, I won't mention names, but
we don't need to go there. But did you feel the pressure? Or did it feel normal and natural to take that role?
I did feel natural, but I did feel the pressure as well because sometimes comments were made like you're not contributing, and but that was good. I think there's been a realization from that person that I was providing a good input. And there was like a role reversal. Perhaps at the time they didn't see that, and now they've come to recognise that.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful to have that balance in a relationship, isn't it? You need those bases covered, and if somebody's working way too hard, then the other person needs to keep steady. Or else you both don't work too hard. it's an interesting one in this day and age, I think, but watching different variations of that theme, in my kids' generation, really interesting. And so much more permissive and clear that, people need to make their own choice and see what makes their own heart sing and move forward with that. So more recently, you were saying you've just finished another certificate for.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Can you tell everybody about what that
Okay. Well, essentially, it's a certificate in leisure and health. And it means that, my next step is to do placement. And then I could work in like an aged care facility as a leisure and health or activities coordinator. And so my role would be to, not as a carer as such, but to help the people in their quality of life. And I've sort of been doing that in a way where of the last maybe almost 2 years, I've been teaching senior people Tai Chi in a chair, or Tai Chi Qigong in a chair, and yoga in a chair. And I'm getting some of the locations, I'm getting big classes. What I consider big, like in a fairly small room, I get like 15 people.
Wow, that's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like all the residents of that particular, they're gathering. They gather like once a week, no, twice a week maybe, but they come to this venue, and sometimes I do Zoom. I did a Zoom class earlier today, and every alternate week I go there. I drive, and I prefer that. I prefer the face to face. This is more
different
interaction. And they love it. They love what I do, which is nice to see, but also to feel. I can feel that they're getting something out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's beautiful to have that certification and be able to bring all that you know about wellness into a new environment and kind of weave it into what goes on there is
for
great.
Sure. Well, actually, our tutor, she was mentioning me quite a bit in the course, and she's saying, "Oh, Keith, you could do this. You could do your Tai Chi or chair Tai Chi, chair yoga as an event, as an activity for seniors, like people with dementia or whatever health conditions they might have. Modify it, of course, to suit, which I always do. I always do that. I always offer, if you can't do this, what about this?
That's great because, accessibility is everything, really, isn't it? We just have to make sure we take everyone with us. Yeah. And in those classes, is it mostly women or do you have a 50-50?
It is mostly women. I would say the class I'm mentioning, the one I mentioned before, probably 95% women. But some guys are joining.
So. What can we do about that?
Well, there are only 2 guys there. 2, 3. No, maybe 3. Actually, there's more than I thought. There's probably about 90% women, 10% men.
Oh, in that particular home?
Yeah. It was actually a community centre.
Community centre. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, well, I guess, still men tend to pass away a little earlier than women in this society, which is, I've always wondered about that. And I've always thought perhaps that's indicative of the fact that it's harder to be a man. That men take more risks with their health. Or what do you think?
Actually, yeah, you're spot on with that. In fact, this week I've heard of two males my age or younger passed away this week. One of the guys was a karate guy. Although what happens with a lot of karate guys, because it's really hard training, when they stop, they don't train. And often they put on a lot of weight and they don't do any exercise at all. And then they have health problems. And so, the guy the karate guy, I know he was very overweight, and I don't know him that well, but he obviously had health condition. He was in the hospital. One of his cousins told us, a group of us on Facebook, and then the next day he said, "Oh, please send your prayers." The next day he said, "Oh, he's passed away."
Wow. Okay.
And then one of my wife's trained buddies, her husband passed away as well. this week. Yeah.
Oh, well, may they travel well. It's just, it certainly seems to be a lot of passing on in the air at the moment
Yeah.
from where I'm sitting too. Maybe you and I are just getting older, Keith.
Oh, we're getting older every day, aren't we?
Maybe it's that. Yeah. Well, I think there's been, from where I'm sitting, and I'd love to know your opinion, it's felt very much like, a lot of the men that I know are just like, oh, she'll be right. It's okay, and offered options to improve their health or things or habits to take up or whatever else. They haven't necessarily taken that up with the same vim and vigor that women take it up. For example, in yoga classes, it's still probably 85 to 90% women in most of the yoga classes that I'm going to, until the blokes get there. And, I used to teach people in the cement industry and the oil rigs. Every time they'd come in and they'd go, oh, yoga. And then they'd say, oh, this is hard. And then it was game on. As soon as they understood that there was a test, that they had to test themselves against something, they were up for it.
Yeah, I get that. I've had men same sort of reaction. Come in, oh, what's all this about? And like you can pick up the vibe. They're not really wanting to do it, but they're there, and when they do it, come up with, oh, enjoy that. That was really good. Harder than I thought.
Anyway, look, we'll find new and cunning ways to bring them all with us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's been really lovely talking. We've got another few days of Men's Week, and tomorrow we've got a men's table entree, which is a beautiful group, the men's group. It's a group that brings men together just to be frank and honest and hang about together and find new ways to explore the world in terms of conversation and what they're going through and how life rolls out, all the interesting things. And they're currently running 50 groups throughout New South Wales where men come together and have a chat, and they're great. They're really, really earthed. Lovely. So they're coming on tomorrow. Then we've got another few days of interviewing men like you and building up this picture. But wouldn't it be great if we could find a way to make joining SoulAdvisor a bit of a challenge and a bit tough? Because quite good. So we're still on 10% of our practitioners are blokes. But it would be great if it was 50-50 like the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, I'll spread the word as best I can.
Thank you. And if you come up with a brainwave, we'll do something about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you, Keith. It was really interesting having a chat. It really was. And I've enjoyed sitting here in the sun.
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Farewell, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye everybody.
Bye.